You're looking at illegal migrants arrive at a New York City high school. You've seen this before, right? It's been happening all over the country. Democrats overly generous with people who got here illegally, giving them shelter, giving them money. But I've never seen this before because the students at this high school where they're arriving were all evicted. That is the James Maddison High School in Brooklyn, New York. It's been around for 100 years. Chuck Schumer, 3 Supreme Court justices graduated from that school. And the students have been told, on a Tuesday morning, they were told, you cannot come back. We are letting in 2,000 illegal migrants. You'll do your learning remotely, you know, like during COVID. Yeah, Zoom calls and Skype and that stuff. You know, this is a total shocker. A lot of kind of surprised and even shocked all of us with the migrant crisis, giving up the border. But this is happening in my backyard, by the way, and wow, 2,000 students gone. Actually, I'm sorry, 3,400 students attend that school, being replaced by 2,000 migrants who will make it their home, perhaps permanently. There's no indication when the students will be allowed back into school. You do your learning at home via Zoom, and the migrants will are taking over the school. You know, just I think this week we saw Mayorkas say that no one here is breaking the law. With all of these fiascos, constant, I know the law is being broken. This man is a liar.
Some have accused DHS of not enforcing our nation's laws. This could not be further from the truth.
Not further. All right, let me see those migrants. You're telling me there's not one law somewhere that can prevent this situation? If there isn't, they ought to pass one now in 2 minutes. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it's happening. Illegal migrants taking over a high school. 3,400 plus students told to go home. You're going to learn on a computer. This is America in 2024. Wow. Now, we have some incompetent people in New York who came up with this plan, actually was encouraging it all along. Eric Adams, the goofiest guy in the world, just loves press conferences, does not know how to govern, isn't even good at politics, but he's going to get a lot of attention in the days ahead, and that's what he wants. We'll have more on this fiasco later in the show. Man, oh man, oh man. All right, but there is this, and perhaps it'll give me some solace. Adversity, it fuels greatness. You've heard that before. It's actually in the Bible. And a great example of it is what Donald Trump has gone through and, well, the benefits of the test. You've seen the latest polls, right? He is, let's see, 63% in Iowa, 40 points above second place Ron DeSantis, tied with Nikki Haley. Consider that when you realize, again, that Donald Trump was in court today. He was in court. He showed up for an appellate hearing. This whole thing is, well, ludicrous, as you know, but imagine these results. Did the Democrats ever in a million years think this would happen? No. They thought we'd take one look at those courtroom sketches that we've been seeing now for almost a year and be horrified. Oh my gosh, he looks like well, you only see criminals sketched like that. We know who he is. This doesn't faze us anymore. I'll tell you who it does faze. The Democrats. This plan of theirs has disintegrated. They are terrified, aren't they?
President Trump is going to find himself in and out of the courtroom throughout the political season here for the running up to the election.
Once these trials really heat up, when we come in the spring, Donald Trump will be too distracted to take on Joe Biden.
The beginning of next year will be very busy for Trump, who is campaigning while facing all of this legal trouble.
This is a person who is very distracted by these legal cases.
I think he's going to spend more time in courtrooms next year than on the campaign trail.
And obviously, this all last year, Donald Trump will not be a viable president for candidate. That poll, one more time, 40 points on top. What will they pull next? Because they're going to have to try to pull something. I mean, the Democrats winning things legitimately, just the good old-fashioned way, no. They're going to, I kind of love it. Don't you? I mean, their plans haven't worked. Now, got to talk about what happened today in court. He was there to talk about, well, the issue of presidential immunity. He didn't do any speaking, but his lawyers did, and they made a great case about this. So I have to boil it down for me so I can understand it, because when they start talking in court about these constitutional issues, it gets very confusing very, very early. Here's a taste of that, actually.
Right there in it, it says most separation of powers claims may not be subject to interlocutory review, but there are some that may. And then it goes on to say presidential immunity arising from the separation of powers, citing Clinton against Jones. So Cisneros, I think, expressly contemplates that there be interlocutory jurisdiction in this sort of claim. And that's further reinforced by the court's subsequent decisions in Rose and Rostentowski.
All right, what are they talking about? Wow, Rostentowski, that guy, it gets very convoluted, and they start talking about Griswold versus Honeywell versus stuff from a long time ago. But I stayed with it, and it is about presidential immunity. And it kind of goes like this regarding presidential immunity. Let's say it's, well, let's go back to 9/11, September 11th. America is under attack, right? Now, President Bush, you'll remember, was on the phone, and at one point, it was actually kind of late, but at one point, I believe he gave the go-ahead, if you have to do it, take down civilian airliners. That word actually may have come from Vice President Cheney, but let's say it came from Bush. And let's say they did shoot down an airliner that wasn't hijacked and innocent people were killed and maybe people on the ground. You couldn't sue President Bush. You couldn't even arrest him. And I don't think that would be arrestable, but some people out there might make that case. No, he has a certain degree of immunity because it was an official presidential act. There are people throughout the government who have immunity. The Pentagon, if you join the military, if you sign up, they're going to make you sign a piece of paper that says you cannot sue the military. You can't sue the government if something goes wrong. They'll give you a nice life insurance policy, but you can't sue it. So, like the Secretary of Defense, in a weird way, has a certain amount of immunity, okay? All right. Now they say President Trump doesn't because he committed the crime. I don't believe that, but... and then they took it to an absurd level. Here's one of the judges, the appellate judges, questioning Trump's lead appellate attorney.
Could a president who ordered SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political rival who was not impeached, would he be subject to criminal prosecution?
If he were impeached and convicted first. And
so your answer is
no. My answer is qualified yes. There's a political process that would have to occur under the structure of our Constitution, which would require impeachment and conviction by the Senate.
Okay, SEAL Team 6. He got boxed in there, all right? And the other side took advantage of it. If Donald Trump ordered SEAL Team 6 to kill somebody, a political rival, yeah, he'd be in trouble. I get that.
What kind of world are we living in if, as I understood my friend on the other side to say here, a president orders his SEAL team to assassinate a political rival and resigns, for example, before an impeachment? Not a criminal act. President sells a pardon, resigns, or is not impeached? Not a crime. I think that is extraordinarily frightening future.
The Trump guy had a pretty good comeback for this.
The frightening future that he alleges, where presidents are very, very seldom, if ever, prosecuted because they have to be impeached and convicted first, is the one we've lived under for the last 235 years. That's not a frightening future. That's our republic. What he is forecasting is a situation where the floodgates will be opened. We are in a situation where we have the prosecution of the chief political opponent who's winning in every poll.
All right. Let me address this whole SEAL Team 6 thing because it's getting a lot of attention and it's nonsense. We all know the SEALs, right? The Navy SEALs. The Navy SEALs, they're pretty good. Just ask them. Yeah, those guys. They get to wear their own uniforms. I love the SEALs. They're friendly rivals of the Marine Corps at times. Of course, SEAL Team 6, they got bin Laden, right? And that was totally, totally awesome. Now, let's pretend for a moment that Donald Trump ordered SEAL Team 6 to kill Rosie O'Donnell, all right? It's ludicrous, of course. You know it's ludicrous. I know it's ludicrous. That would never happen. And even if it did, Well, you could actually prosecute a president for doing that because it would be outside of the line of duty. It would not be an official act. Go to the White House website. They have an official job description for the President of the United States. Under Article 2 of the Constitution, the President is responsible for the execution and enforcement of the laws created by Congress, okay? Donald Trump executing, say, Rosie O'Donnell, nobody is contending that that would fall within his official acts as president, okay?